Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Cinema Tales. Today we are here with a movie which is based on delicacy of a relationship. A man marries his love at first sight who is too beautiful. People like her because of her beauty, and the man starts to doubt on her. But one day he finds out about her friend. What happens next? Watch the full episode to know. Paul had worked on a property for 15 years, after which he is building his own hotel and house at the same place today. His friend Marilyn came to see his hotel, who also brought Nellie with her. Nellie and Paul liked each other, and that's why Marilyn wanted them to spend time with each other. Soon they decide to marry and start managing the hotel together. Everyone liked Nellie because she is beautiful, but there was no change in their marriage and they both lived happily with their son. But one night, Paul started behaving weird, and he started talking to himself in the mirror as if there was someone else in front of him. Nellie understood that he was upset about something, and Paul told her that he has not been able to sleep for many days, and he has to take sleeping pills every night. Many years passed, and even now, Nellie was supporting Paul in this problem. Paul slowly started getting restless about everything, and one day Nellie made the doctor aware about the same thing. She had to reduce sleeping pills. Because all these are the side effects of sleeping pills, Marilyn goes to the beach with her boyfriend and his friend Martin, and she told Paul that sometimes Nellie also goes to the beach with him. Paul didn't like this. Paul thinks that he is not sick, but his doctor knew that those pills were having a bad effect on him. The man who used to be calm before is now abusing the hotel near his house in front of his doctor. And seeing this, the doctor started worrying about Paul. When Paul returned to the hotel, his receptionist, Clotilde, told him that after Paul left, she didn't see Nellie, and this started bothering Paul. Then he saw a room, and when he went into that room, he saw that Nellie was looking at some pictures on the projector with Martin. Nellie then remembered that she had to prepare for dinner, and she left from there. Paul was so upset with everyone that he left without talking to anyone. At the riverbank, he heard that voice again, which forced him to think that Nellie was hiding something from him. He came back to the hotel looking at Nellie there. He started explaining to her that he was fine, just a little tired. After a few days, Paul started paying more attention to the little things and started thinking that Nellie was lying to him. A hotel customer used to bring gifts for Nellie every time, but Nellie said that he only did this to thank them. Nellie was unaware of Paul's jealousy and his thoughts, but when Paul kept asking her questions, Nellie realized that Paul was becoming possessive, and she was happy to think that Paul thinks about her, and he loves her so much that he can't let her go near anyone else. Paul started searching for those gifts, but Nellie thought this was normal. Nellie wanted to go to her mother's house for a few days because she is sick. But after she left, Paul started searching for clues. He started following Nellie and kept an eye on every step of hers, and then he found out that Nellie had gone to the Marlins store. She left from there and passed through the church, where someone was getting married, where someone was starting a new relationship. Nellie's relationship was in danger. While passing through the market, Nellie reached a place where there was Martin's garage, and Paul felt that his suspicion was right. He kept hoping that Nellie wouldn't go to that garage, and Nellie really didn't go to that garage. But then he saw that Martin went to Nellie in his car. He ran after them, but they both escaped from his hands. Paul went to Nellie's mother's house, and he saw that Nellie was there. She called Paul to himself. Nellie understood that Paul was following her, but even after doing this, she didn't say anything to Paul. On the way to the hotel, Paul kept thinking that Martin and Nellie were probably together. But then Nellie told him to forget everything. Paul still kept asking her, and Nellie understood that Paul didn't trust her. Nellie knew that Paul didn't like Martin. That's why she never told him before that she goes to a cafe with Marilyn to watch a horse race. When Paul found out about this, he went to the same cafe, but he found out that Nellie wasn't there. In fact, she was having fun at the beach. He started running after her, and he reached where her boat stopped. Then he saw that Martin was in that boat with Nellie, and his suspicion was confirmed. He stayed at the beach all day, and that night Paul reached the hotel late. He went to the hotel in a bad condition, and without saying a word to Nellie, he went to his room. Nellie was worried to see Paul in torn clothes, and she said that she kept looking for him all day. Hearing this, Paul didn't say anything, but then when Nellie came close to him, he said that he saw Nellie and Martin together. Nellie said that she just wanted to rest for a while. "But that doesn't mean that there is something between her and Martin," Nellie said in anger, "that she has always loved him." But until today, Paul never trusted her. Paul realized his mistake, and he started apologizing to her. At that time, Nellie forgave him. But then while sleeping at night, Paul woke her up, and he started asking her what she was dreaming about, and Nellie started crying because of this. The next morning, to make Nellie feel better, Paul took her away from there for a few days to take a vacation, and Nellie forgot all her troubles. A few days later, Paul brought a gift for her. She was very happy to see it. That day, Paul found out that Nellie had told Martin that she would never come back to this hotel. Nellie said that she can't see Paul sad. That's why she did this. But Paul started shouting at her by saying that now people will think that he is a suspicious man, knowing that Paul cares about his image. Nellie started taking out the gift she gave him in anger, and again apologizing. Paul avoided the matter. Nellie's life had become hell, because Paul kept thinking that Martin and Nellie used to have an affair. And because of Paul, her every day started getting worse. One night, a hotel guest showed everyone a film in which he had shot every person in the hotel. And after watching the film, Paul started thinking about Martin and Nellie again. This suspicion of his started pushing him towards madness, and he lost his mental balance and started thinking how Nellie must be cheating him behind his back, losing his mind. He started shouting in front of the guests, and when Nellie tried to stop him, he slapped Nellie in front of everyone. Paul tried to explain to Nellie that his jealousy has increased so much that he has started thinking about dying, and his mind was no longer in his control. But still, Nellie kept trying to explain to him and handle him. Nellie was ready to do everything that Paul wanted just to make him feel better. But despite Nellie's every effort, the situation was getting worse. Paul only talked about the day when he saw Nellie and Martin together, and Nellie got tired of giving her clarification. The guests who came to the hotel realized that Nellie's condition was not good, but Nellie did not tell anyone that her life has now become hell. She even stopped going out of the hotel for Paul, but Paul still is not happy, and if he sees her around any man, he would start questioning her. One night the hotel lights went off and Paul's eyes fell on the same room where he had seen Martin and Nellie. He went to that room looking for Nellie, but in that room was only his son and a guest with him. When he went upstairs, he saw that Nellie was giving candles to all the guests, and he started thinking that she has gone to a guest's room. But Nellie came and explained to him that she had only gone inside to give a candle because a guest staying in that room could not get up. Paul found the bracelet in the hotel storage that he had given to Nellie. And then, slowly, the voice inside him forced him to think that Nellie has an affair with every man. He started asking Nellie about the bracelet and started lying to her every answer. But he found out that Paul had never got that bracelet. It was just a delusion of his mind. Nellie was tired of all this and wanted to stay away from Paul. When Paul could not see Nellie that night, he went to the guest's room to find her, but he did not find Nellie there either. He entered a guest, Duhamel's room, and started interrogating him, and he said that he knew Nellie had come there. Duhamel was upset with Paul's misbehavior and madness, and he asked him to leave. When he came back to his room, Paul saw Nellie and he started shouting at her. After that, he started misbehaving with her. Not only that, he also started forcing her, and the next day, out of fear, she went to the doctor. She was hiding there out of fear of Paul. But Paul also started acting crazy in front of the doctor. The doctor told him that he knew that Paul had beaten Nellie badly, and in response, Paul started saying that he had seen Nellie with other men. The doctor wanted to listen to him, but Nellie was not able to hear these disgusting things. The doctor did not stop Paul because he wanted Nellie to understand that Paul was mentally ill. And finally, Nellie opened her eyes and she understood what danger she was living in. The doctor told Paul that Nellie was actually sick, and all Paul's suspicions were true. He said that he would admit Nellie to the hospital the next morning, but the truth was that he was going to admit Paul. That night, Nellie was waiting impatiently for the morning, because that night was the scariest night of her life. She was trying to keep a madman calm, but doing this was not easy for her. Paul now started saying that he knew that Nellie was behaving well because of her boyfriend's words, and he locked Nellie in the bedroom with him. Somehow Nellie got out of that room and managed to go to her son, but behind her back, Paul removed Nellie's painkillers and placed sleeping pills in her place. And Nellie fell asleep with those pills. She wanted to talk to the doctor, but Paul did not let her do that. And he said that he knew that she was going to meet the doctor and admit Paul to the hospital. Paul locked her in the room again, and he started thinking that Nellie lied to him and called the people of the mental hospital. Because of this hallucination, he tied Nellie to the bed, and then he completely lost his mental balance, after which he fainted. As soon as he regained consciousness, Paul suddenly started waking Nellie up from sleep and started preparing to take her to the hospital. Nellie was happy to see that Paul wanted to get better, but she did not know that he was going to kill her at that time. Whatever happened in the bathroom at that time was all a game of Paul's mind, and he had never woken Nellie up. In the end, Paul understood that he had gone mad. But it was too late. Nellie and Paul's life was ruined, but they were going to live together in this hell forever, and there is no end to their story. Please like